Hello, everyone. Wow. First, how do I introduce myself? I'm a boomer. I'm a baby boomer. And I'm mother of a Gen Z. So that's my summary. I don't know what to say. When Mukami called me 2 days ago and said, "Oh, I would like you to say something on the event," first, I didn't know what to do. I don't want to say I'm shy. I know how to speak, but in this one, I was like, what do I say? But I thought, as a baby boomer, as time goes by, it is hard. But also, again, as a last speaker, it becomes very difficult because I've listened. I've heard a lot of speakers here speak, and the things they have said, if I were to repeat them, it would be a repetition. But before I go very far, I want to say that one speaker that really touched me, I listened to, I'm a very good listener. I love reading a lot. And I want to tell Veronica Kalwala that I have read her book. I didn't want to take up my heart. I read a lot. I'm probably one of the few women who have read the books from Genesis to the Revelations. I enjoy reading, but that is just to say your book is very inspirational, just making a very sad story, very inspiring. But I prepared a speech, if you allow me, and I will read it just as it is written. As a baby boomer, you will understand. And I will start by saying that I thank God for this day. And I also want to thank the founder and the vision carrier, women of God here, community leaders, directors, all professionals, sponsors, supporters, and all attendants of this event. Leading on this protocol, I want to congratulate the founder and the torchbearer of women empowerment. Note that I'm not among the most qualified speakers today, and therefore I'm humbled and grateful for this opportunity, addressing such a great wealth, diversity of talents among yourselves. I will take this opportunity to speak from a point of knowledge and a personal experience, sticking on women empowerment theme. I have had comments from both men and women during different discussions that they struggle with the word women empowerment. But I don't judge them, because in life, there are stages, things you have read, learned, or life experiences. One may also be in a certain place in their journey of life. Therefore, it is that point I am careful not to judge. However, one cannot run away from facts of history and real life struggles and experiences encountered by those who set movements to pave way and ensure the world is a fair playing ground for all, even though it is a difficult task to achieve, like what Mukami is trying to achieve today. Most of you who read The Struggle of Women started way back from the right of suffrage or voting. You will agree with me, even though the struggle started way back, the highlights keep the candle burning and creates a continuous improvement of a fair or a safe space for women to move forward and achieve their purposed potential within a male-dominated dictatorship world. You know, I mean, if you look at the world, how many presidents, women do you have in the world today, in particular in Africa? We have Tanzania, by chance of death, you know, where death creates a president. So, you know, that's what I'm talking about. Since a lot of things have happened, since then, a lot of things have happened, such as equal pay, joining in professional areas that were then exceptional for men, and many legal rights have been achieved, e.g. domestic violence, laws such as rape within marriage. Recently, I was reading on the media. There is a lady, she, allow me because we are talking facts here. She was having an intimacy with a man, and he happened to pull off whatever, anyway. And the point is, the point is that the baby boomer trying to be polite, So, such little things, they are very important to women. You can imagine, it may not be important to somebody else, but it is important. You are infringing their rights that they are entitled to. And you are also breaching an agreement that you had previously. So the list is addressed and the struggle continues. Without going back too much in the past, as I said, I want to talk from a point of knowledge and a point of personal life struggle experience. As a young woman, my life changed drastically. I was about 22 when my life just changed drastically. And I was very active, fun laughing, I had boyfriends. And during our days, many were more than women. So obviously you had the opportunity to date one for coffee. Yes. Yes. Yeah. you Yes, you had one for coffee, one for dinner, one for lunch. And we weren't, we were not Lawton. It was just like really the social media we have today. I'll give you a very typical personal experience. We had a restaurant called Curry Pot, and another one for a brother called Honey Pot. So one was across the road, and the other one was on the other side of the road. I don't think there are many people in this room who could remember that. So what used to happen is that Curry Pot had very, very good samosas. So for me, I love the samosas. Even today, I love the samosas. And I used to be a civil servant, so obviously we used to finish working at 4:30. So the first date will be 4:30. And I loved dating lawyers anyway, I worked at Sharia House, so you can imagine all the new state councils were there. I wasn't, and I used to wear that high shoe. I want you to imagine how I looked then those days. Yeah. So obviously I had this date of after 4:30. Those of you who have read, there's even a book written after 4:30. So after 4:30 you go for the samosa date. So the samosa date used to be upstairs. And then you can, by the zip, you can see the curry pot there. So what I'm trying to say, in other words, there will be another date for 7 o'clock, and that will be for dinner, and of course with a male driving a sports car. Are we together? Summer girl empowerment. We were empowered. So, it was a drastic change because within 48 hours, I was completely a changed woman, and I found myself in hospital. I went to MP Shah for about a few days, probably for like 2 weeks or so. And as civil servants, we had the opportunity of having insurances then, so it wasn't too bad. And I remember after my insurance was finished, then the Registrar General suggested that I would be transferred to Kenyatta National Hospital because the bill was so much. You know how much it was? 18,000 on top. That was so much those days. So obviously, coming from a very humble background, my parents live in the village. You know, when we talk of villagers, I'm a proper villager. So obviously, being in the city now, I'm on my own. I'm a very independent woman. So of course, they had to take me to Kenyatta Hospital. What I thought was for a day was going to turn to be a nightmare. But I also take you back to that story a bit because it was through my very good connection. I'm a very social person. It's through my girlfriends that I went to secondary school with, that I went to school with, who were taking care of me, taking me to hospital. They were in shock because we were not going to go to Boogie. We were not going to go for the Mogi, the nights. They were not Mogi, they were not called Mogi those days. They were called, yeah? Boogie? Dashi, anyway, whatever you call them. And that was in, we couldn't go those maroon Komodos and all that. So, of course, they missed that company. And they were really, shugurikia, taking me to hospital. It was a shock to my friends. I was paralyzed from here completely. And when I say paralyzed, is that I can't move. And those of you who are nurses, everything changes. I mean, it's weird. To me, it sounds like a story of somebody else. So anyway, that was that, and I ended up living in Kenyatta Hospital, Ward 13, for 2 years. Yes, I did. But it was fun, because you are living with other patients, so even maybe you are a little bit more privileged. You go to the day room, you play all the games, I don't want to just say hospital was bad. You are being taken care of, the nurses are feeding you, so you don't have any hassles. And I didn't have to think about my rent anymore or anything. But it was, but nothing prepared me. What was shocking was when I was discharged. My friend, nobody wants you. Yeah? Sema kutupwa. The first person to run away is the boyfriend. I had a boyfriend. Hey. No. I knew you'd ask that. So, girls, I look at you. I just want to say to you before I go further, enjoy life when you can. If you have a high shoe, wear it. If you are as proud as Anne Keria, be. Yeah? The only thing I tell you, don't be nasty, because you don't know who you will need, So anyway, the boyfriend disappeared. I forgive him and I understood him, because, that was now the stable. Oh, we are not talking about these are the ones for coffee, the coffee ones and whatever. You had the real one. But going back to my story is that I stayed in Kenyatta for 2 years, and of course, Kenyatta Hospital was beautiful. It was really nice, and I do hope one day Kenya will be the same. So when I left hospital, my problem was who was to take me in, and I spent 2 days in hospital. Umeashiliwa, but you have no place to go. Are we together? And I have relatives, Not that I came from a family where I didn't have, I had aunts, I had uncles who were famous, who were very comfortable. And eventually I went to stay with my uncle in Kalen, who was a neighbor to Kaminoa and Kaminoa, those ones who know Kaminoa and Kaminoa. And I went to stay there. It was very hard, because my uncle's wife, of course, she's not the one who is related to me, and again, it was difficult. And again, when you have such a serious sickness, you're also primitive in a way. You don't talk about a few things, like, I will not talk about them because of this gentleman. But nevertheless, it was not easy. So anyway, going back to my story, sticking to what I was telling you, it says during this time, I was now going to prepare my life back to the world. And it was very difficult. But remember, I was a civil servant. I was still employed. I was still on a pay. So there was this woman, and bless her soul, She was called Mrs. Wainaina. She was the head of the civil service then. And by virtue of her, I had met her by virtue of my employment because she was a widow. And I used to work in the public trustee. You know what I mean by public trustee is you are dealing with people who have lost their loved ones, this and that. So I was the first person to work in, I used to work in that department as the counter or the receptionist in Sharia House. So this lady had met me, and so she came and asked me, she asked my colleagues, where is Nelly? She was told, oh my God, Nelly got sick. It was like big news. She said, what? So they were saying, oh, she got this funny sick, she's completely paralyzed, she's probably almost dying. So she came to see me in hospital. And she said to me, when you leave hospital, please come and see me. And I did faithfully, went and saw her. And she looked at me, and if I tell you, and to say this is the truth, it takes me to a memory lane. If I say I was, what do I want to say? We never had 10 ladies, if you like. And my brother was very loose. So if I met you, just to tell you, because we've shared the story, if I met you, the first thing I thought is about my brother, and immediately things just happened. So you can imagine. So when I went to see this lady, this just happened. And she said to me, oh my God, Nelly, would you like to go to government secretary? Because if you become a secretary, of course, you'll be just sitting down. And it was every girl's dream those days to go to government secretary. For me, through this sickness, it's like, wow. I was like, yeah, yes. So she gave me a date. Of course, people had a lot of protocol then. And she said, you come on this day and pick your letter. When I went to pick the letter, she said to me, I had a thought, the power of a woman. She looked at me and she said to me, would you like to go to a disabled institution? And I said, I didn't have much choices. I said, yes. She said, you do the same exam done by the same exam board. And that is, we have only one disabled college in Kenya. Those of you who are here, you may not know, it's called disability, it is called, what is it called? Disability what? Anyway, it's next to Kenyatta Hospital, those who went to Kenyatta Hospital, yeah? Industrial Rehabilitation Center. Well, it is called Industrial Rehabilitation Center, but it is a college for people with disabilities. You can check it out when you go to Kenyatta Hospital, it's just next there. So she suggested I go there and study. And if I'm out of my time, you tell me, I'll just cut it short. So she suggested I go there, study the secretarial course, and that would be easier for me, while I also adjust to live with disability. Hey, my sisters, I said, yeah. And so the date was set. And my girlfriend, who I said the girls who were helping me this and this, they prepared me. We set a date, and I went to the college. In my life, I had never seen people with different... I don't want to talk to you and say to you the way I hear people being polite at a body different. Sijaona viwete. Sema viwete. That is the way it was said those days. Shioje. I was like, wow, my goodness. Even me, I started feeling like I'm okay. Like I'm just like a marathon, Huh? We go to the bedroom, you see somebody putting some calipers. Have you ever seen calipers? Some of you have never seen, probably. Aye. You see somebody putting a caliper or sleeping like a snake, they wake up. You're really, wow. And I started feeling empowered. I started feeling, oh, my God. I was walking with the crashes. Not the crashes that Mukami, you met me with, those crashes of walking, made with the trees, if you like. So it was good. I stayed there, and within a very short time, I was elected the student leader. Remember, I had a job, kwa hivyo niko na tuguo tuzuri. Nimetengeneza curly palm, I had a curly kit. You know, I just want you to imagine that picture. Don't just look at Uwete, just look at the picture. So, unajua sasa nyinyi mko na hii judgment sana. So anyway, I stayed there and I was made the student leader. And you know what? I remember one of the blind guys was saying, "Hey, Nelly, ninakupe, wewe nasikia ni supu sana." You know, blind people, they are very interesting. You know, I mean, life became just good. After I started gelling, by the way, I nearly thought at some point I was thinking, I think marrying somebody like me would be good, you know. Lakini unajua bado niko na ile tumalingo kwa sababu because of the class I came from, I had already set a status, so I didn't want to nini. But anyway, my life changed. And I remember then Mr. Matiba Jida was the Minister for Culture and Social Services. That's Mukami's uncle. And I won the best award because I was the best student of the year. And I was in the papers of Kenya those days, you know. And it was just one of those things I did. And it is during that time, I want to share my story very quickly, that I felt as a woman very empowered. And during then, it was the time when Kenya was changing. People started having these equal opportunities, inclusivity, women, this and that. And now, those of you who might have read the papers, the woman who had dominated the papers then was talking of a story that people have never heard. I wasn't so bothered myself because kubuka me, I'm dealing with my disability to adjust. So hii mambo ya papers nasoma what is interesting or you know whatever, but not reading too much deep in politics. I wasn't interested. But now this story became very major. But the most interesting thing is when this lady came to our college, and the teacher started telling us, "Oh, so-and-so is coming, we want you to come." And she came, and let me just read what I wrote, because this one I have to read. You know, I told you I'm a baby boomer, so you have to be patient. Huh? Yeah. So, during this time, I met one woman who had an interest in this inclusivity movement. Her idea was not well received, but seen as bizarre or crazy. Starting with the political class, I was not keen on the story until we came in close contact with her because of her interest with the college of initiating the tree planting initiative. Yeah? You can imagine telling people with disabilities to plant trees. For me, this was disturbance of already a disturbed body. My friend, you know, my friend, you are telling me to plant trees. Niweke miti chini, alafu nichukue nipada igini. It was crazy. But one thing distracted me. Oh, it's a professor telling me, yeah? And I am the student leader. Can you marry the two? So the fact that I will liaise with her, I thought it was not too bad on me because I can supervise, but not do the dirty job. Yeah? So hapa nikashanuka. She was always featured on every paper. The opponents and the journalists, she truly was a newsmaker almost every day. She seemed more determined and at least unbothered by the noise. My curiosity to understand the world of the professor grew, and our bond of friendship became very personal. The government was after her. Even the issue became a debate in Parliament. She would ask me, have I done anything wrong? You work in the law office. You know, I was a legal secretary. That's what the course I did. So obviously I worked a lot with the lawyers. So when the president chimed in her political debate, she would ask me, have I said anything wrong? She was so unbothered. But let me tell you, me and Professor, we became very close. We had moments together. She would call me. She would share things with me. You know, we would talk, and I'm like, wow. Now, one day she even gave me the small book she had written. The first book she had written was very thin. But you know, I'm thinking, hey, this crazy thing about the Green Belt movement. But let me tell you, what really inspired me and empowered me on a personal level is after I graduated in college, I took one of the disabled girls. She was so disabled. You know, she would keep her hands like this, but she would make her bed, and I would ask myself, how has she done it? Is it miracle? And then those days, we used to have this course called telephone operation. And I took this lady to Professor, and I told her, please give, remember I had a job. So I told her, please give her a job. And she gave her a job. And you remember she had an office near the Central Police, and it was taken away. And it is one of those things that have really stayed so firm in me, you know. I was talking, when Mukami asked me to talk about this story, to talk about something, I told her this story. She told me, you've ever interacted with Wangari Maathai? I told her, not interacted. I have, she was a very close friend. But I'll tell you something, Mukami, which I must tell you. It's really funny about fame. When you interact with people, they're just people. It's not about who they will be tomorrow. When people start things, they start, a lot of people who said things here, they say they're not doing it for themselves, but doing it for generations that they don't know. Because after that, I relocated to England in 1991. And of course, me and Professor didn't meet again. But fate had it. One day, me and my husband were at the airport. And those of you who know me, you know, I've grown with technology as well. So not all the time I've used this walking mobility scooter. So of course there are times I used to walk with the crashes. And what the airport does allows you to have a wheelchair. And my husband was pushing me, and I find this lady. And Professor, she didn't even ask me, what was your name? I'm sure if I don't see Anne Keria here for a few days or a few years, oh, who are you? I can't remember you. You know, she didn't ask me that. Trust me. She asked me, and I told her, oh, Professor, I came over here. I live here in the UK. And, you know, she had a very professor kind of light. She wrote me her mobile number. You know how the Kenyans are. And of course, I'm talking about the year 2004, 2005. And I think she wasn't very well also. She was coming for treatment. So she gave me her mobile number. And of course, I tried to call her. Phones were expensive. Those, you know how communication wasn't so good. But for me, when she passed on, I said, you know, maybe just God wanted me to say goodbye to my friend. And therefore, what I want to tell you girls today is that I have listened to a lot of your stories, and you may not know me, but what I want to say is that it's not how educated, how powerful, how rich, how beautiful you are, but you can start that little thing and inspire a generation. I have done a lot of things which I probably won't talk about today. Some of them I've talked about, even featured in the papers. You know, I'm one of the pioneers of IVF in Kenya. I've spoken about it openly because God blessed me through that opportunity, you know. And I spoke about it openly in the papers. I would not have spoken about it when my daughter is here because she's 17 now, she's 16 now, and she keeps telling me, Mommy, I want to be a neurosurgeon. And I keep saying to God, amen. And I know my daughter will be, you know. And I can tell you guys, ladies and gentlemen, because the men are here, you can't ignore them. When you when you are empowered, you also inspire your own brothers, your own sisters. I come from a very empowered home because my mother is 85, she's still alive. And recently, because I have to share this story with you, because the lawyer really inspired me, she called us and she divided a piece of land. It's not a big piece of land. She divided her piece of land and gave us. And that's, to me, that's the most precious gift I've ever received from a parent, still alive. Because Kikuyu say, even me, I've not written a will, because we think by giving your children things when you're still alive, you are cursing yourself. And, some of these things we can eradicate. But before I leave, I just want to also appreciate my friends who are here today. I have a lot of girlfriends here, those of you who don't know. Mokami, I think if you have a medal of giving somebody who knows so many people here, you'll be so shocked. And I'll start with you, Dr. Sheikh Sheikh. Can you stand up, please? Oh, please, just stand up. I know, just stand up. And that's one of the most learned engineer ladies that I know in this country for many years. That table there, those girls, can they stand, please? Stand up, girls. And Namwembu has to stand up. You see all these girls, my friends, I want to tell you, those are girls I have known for a long time, to mention a few. And when I came in and I found them, I said, oh my God, what are you doing here? They said, we are here for women. I said, anything about women, you are the first one to lock in. I was so embarrassed because I was looking of where I am. But again, if you allow me, Mokami, and Mokami belongs to us, we belonged, I recently, in 2022, I started a club called Golden Girls. And I can't live here without boasting about it, because as we are just a club of girls who just like letting our hair down, and we are not, you can call us unbothered. We are not bothered by a lot of things. What our problem is spending our hard-earned cash, showing off and gossiping. Can you stand up, Golden Girls, please, wherever you are? Come on, come here. Before I leave the stage, I want to say, when I am gone, because we all go one day, how do I want to be remembered? I would just simply want to be remembered as simply fun-loving girl. Don't profile me. Don't judge me. Don't look at me and say, ule mama kiwete tafadhali. I'll wake up from that grave. God bless you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Nelly. Simameni, wale wamekaa chini. Mnakaa chini kufanya nini? Aren't you inspired? Aren't you inspired? Oh my goodness. Let me tell you what. Oh, Nelly, so inspiring, ladies. Okay. Yes, before we have our tea, so perfect. Okay.
Wanna
a bit of that song. It says, when you see me doing well, please don't be jealous. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know. You know when we say about walking in miles in someone's shoes, I can't remember saying, but yes. So that is the premises of the song. Please, when you see my kids doing well, you don't know what I've sacrificed maybe to get them to where they are. When you see me doing this, please do not be jealous, because you probably would not have made it if you were to walk in the same shoes I've walked in. So ladies, thank you so much, Nelly. So inspiring. Sharing our stories. They always inspire someone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies, the next thing that we are going to do is have some teas and coffees. You can also grab yourself